Hi, thank you for joining me. You're greatly appreciated. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Please hit those thumbs up and subscribe. It is totally free for you and greatly appreciated by me. Today's topic is a very sensitive one. It's one that I've battled with for quite some time to come on here and discuss, but I have to be obedient, and so I'm just going to go with it and get it done. Okay. So again, this is a hard topic. This is a sensitive topic to discuss because I know that there are so many people out there that are at odds about this particular topic. Hear me out first and then do your own research on it. And of course, you're always the final decision makers in your life. I'm just here to help guide you and give you the knowledge that I've learned. Okay, so this is one of the first things that God, um, what would be the word that God taught me about when I was learning to be obedient to Him, when I was starting my walk of faith and like trying to actually be obedient and abide by His commandments. This is like one of the first things He taught me. I kept coming across this verse every time I would read the Bible, every time I would open the Bible, it would like be there, bam, smack him straight in my face. And um, it just kept coming to my attention nonstop, even up recently until 2 weeks ago. And this was like, let's say, last year, early last year, when it kind of like started brought up even more. But it started in like 2021. I want to say in 2021, at the end of 2021, when I started to read my Bible. And it just kept coming across, it just kept coming up. And so, how do I go about this without telling the story? Yeah, I'm going to tell you this story and this experience that I had with God, okay? So, let's see, how do I go about it? What's the best way to start this? Okay, so I'm just going to read you the verse and then bear with me, okay? I'll explain what happened and then like what the discussion I had with God and then what happened. Okay, so I kept coming across this verse and it's in the King James Version. And it's Amos chapter 5, verse 21. Again, Amos chapter 5, verse 21. And it says, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Okay, and I was like, whoa. And for some reason that like touched me because God was like, I hate it, you know? And I was like, oh, He hates this. Let me figure this out. And I was like, okay, He's saying He doesn't like our solemn assemblies and He hates our feast days. And I was like, what is He talking about? Like feast days. And I was like, well, when we get together with our families and like have food and stuff, when we get together with our families for the holidays. So I was like, I started to do my research. And I always do my own research too. Like when I'm not understanding of something, sometimes I'll like research it, ask other people what they think, and then I'll still do my own research on top of that. And then I'll ask God too, like, am I getting this right? Is this what you're trying to tell me that I wasn't understanding before? And so I was like, I just didn't get that. And I was like, okay, is He saying He doesn't want us to celebrate these holidays and these religious holidays? And so I started to do my research and like ask other people about it and what they thought about it and stuff like that. And so when I did my research, it was like, okay, I came across something and it was another version and it was like, I hate your religious feast days and, um, you know, I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. And I was like, okay, so He doesn't like the religious holidays. And I was like, okay, it was when I was talking to God and I was like, God, this is like Christmas. Christmas, we're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. And Easter, we're celebrating the resurrection. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, religious. So religious for some reason stuck with me. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to celebrate those holidays anymore. I won't celebrate Christmas or Easter. That's how it started with me, right? And I was like, okay, I get it. You don't want me to celebrate Christmas or Easter. So I didn't. That next Christmas came, I didn't celebrate it. The next Easter came, I didn't celebrate it. Well, then the next holiday that I was going to celebrate was, I didn't celebrate New Year's that day for whatever reason. I just didn't. Um, I was trying to keep it on the safe side, probably. So 4th of July came around. And I'm like, I love 4th of July. I love to eat. I love the fireworks. And, I thought, oh, it's not religious, so it should be okay. We're not like exchanging gifts or any of those things, right? So I was like, okay. And I wasn't doing anything big at all. Like, my daughter happened not to want to go out that night because there was a lot of cops out and she didn't want to deal with, a lot of people out and stuff like that. So she stayed home, and I noticed the neighbors were doing like major big fireworks in around the house and in our neighborhood. So I was like, oh, let's just go out and sit in the backyard. We didn't make any food or do anything. Let's just go out and sit in the backyard and watch fireworks. Because again, I really love fireworks. And I was like, that'll be fun. We'll just sit and hang out. And at this time, I had quit some of the things that I was doing that God was kind of like working on me to no longer do. I was trying to learn some of his commandments. So I had quit a lot of things by then. Like I had quit smoking marijuana and I had quit other things too. And so I thought I was doing pretty good, right? And so we just sat in the backyard and we watched the fireworks for a while. And I don't even know how long we sat out there. It wasn't like hours or anything. We just watched some fireworks for a bit, maybe an hour, give or take. And then we came back in. Like usual, went to bed, told each other good night, I love you, went to bed, went about our days. And it must have been about maybe 2, maybe 3 days later, give or take, I had gotten a message from God again. And he was like, you cannot pick and choose what advice I give you. He was like, you cannot pick and choose what advice I give you. And I was like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, what am I picking and choosing from now? Like, I was racking my head trying to get it, and I was praying on it, and I was asking God, like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't even know, like, to be honest, what I did. So I'm sorry. And apologizing and asking him to forgive me and stuff. And I was like, I have no idea, like, what I did. And so again, I was reading my Bible later, and that verse came up again. And I was like, why does this keep coming to my attention? And so then I did some more research, and it was like pagan holidays. And I was like, pagan holidays, okay. So I started to look it up, and I didn't notice the 4th of July being in there, So I thought, well, okay, but maybe he considers it a pagan holiday, I thought. And so I prayed on it, and then another verse came across to me being like, because I was upset, because I was like, well, what did I do wrong? Other people celebrate this holiday. Other people celebrate Christmas too. But I was like, I got that because of the religious, and that one just hit home to me. And I was like, why? I'm sorry if I did wrong, but why am I getting like, why are you mad at me because I celebrated this birthday and stuff? And so, this birthday, sorry, not birthday. I celebrated this holiday, and I was like, do you not like me celebrating this holiday? We didn't even have an assembly. We didn't even have food. We just sat out and watched the fireworks. We literally, that's all we did. So I was like, it wasn't a feast day. It wasn't with several people or anything. And so then I came across a verse where it was like, and I'm not going to say it word for word because I can't think of where it was, but it was in the King James Version. And it was like, don't be upset when your father chastises you. Basically, like he's chastising me out of love, like how you reprimand your kid when they do wrong because you want to teach them right from wrong. And it's out of love. You reprimand your child or you chastise your child out of love. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like kind of feeling upset about that. I was feeling some kind of way about it, And I came across that verse and it really stuck out to me. And I was like, he's telling me don't be upset because he's correcting me about it. And I'm like, so you don't want me to celebrate this holiday either? I was like, well, I thought it was just religious holidays, God. I thought it was just Christmas and Easter. That was, that you didn't want us to celebrate. And So then as time went on, I kept doing like more research and learning about pagan holidays. And so now I just don't celebrate any of them. And since then, he has not chastised me on it, you guys. There's been several holidays that have passed since then, and I just don't celebrate them anymore. And he hasn't chastised me on it again. And so I figure I'm on the right track finally now, right? And so I know there's a verse in the Bible where it talks about where Jesus says, like, you shouldn't judge those for what they eat or whatever religious ceremonies that they like are involved in, or whatever religious ceremonies they celebrate. So I get that. And so that was kind of like where I was like, and a lot of the stuff that like God, I know that people are always saying we're saved by the New Testament versus the Old Testament. And I know a lot of the stuff that God's been teaching me is in the Old Testament. I kind of noticed that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do as I'm told, I'm trying to be obedient. And it was like hard for some family members to accept, or some people that were in my life at the time, or that are in my life at the time. It's hard for people to accept that I no longer celebrate those holidays. They kind of get offended by it. And I'm like, it's not about you. It's about me trying to be obedient. You know what I mean? And I have to put God first, And of course, the loved ones I have left in my life are important. And of course, I would like to celebrate these holidays with, my friends and family members. But like, I have to be obedient to God first. You know what I mean? Like, I can't always please everyone. I have to be pleasing to God's eyes. I'm trying to work on being pleasing to God's eyes. And so I know this is like a very sensitive topic, because there's a lot of pastors and preachers and churches and stuff that still celebrate these holidays. And that was something when God did kind of like reprimand me or chastise me about. I was like, well, why don't more churches do it, And I'm not of any religion. I'm a Christian. I would consider myself a Christian, but I basically focus on building a relationship with God in my life. Like, that's my focus, like building a relationship with God. So I'm not like of any religious background that doesn't celebrate these holidays, whatever. This is just something that he has taught and guided and told me to not do, And so it's a very sensitive subject, and I was trying to understand like why a lot of churches and pastors and preachers and other religions still celebrate it. But, that's not for me to judge. It's not for me to judge. It's only for God to judge. And I'm just telling you guys my experience again. This is my experience with God, and this is what he told me not to do anymore. And again, I am not of any religious background. I would consider myself a Christian, and I'm just trying to have a relationship with God and Jesus Christ and be obedient and start to follow his commandments. That's it, you guys, So I'm not judging those who still celebrate these holidays, because I celebrated them with my family for decades, most of my life. And I'm not out here to judge any of you. I am only out here to guide you guys and to like do your research on it. Pray to God on it. Read scripture, read the Bible. And ask God to give you discernment, and ask God to give you wisdom, and ask God, what he wants you to do when it comes to these matters. But I had to put this video out there because he keeps bringing it to my attention. So he really wants it out there. And again, this is Amos 5, verse 21 in the King James Version. And then I did a lot of research on it. And another, he's big on YouTube. Mark the Messenger. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him. For those of you who have not, you can look him up. Mark the Messenger. He was one, finally. And I was like, oh, thank goodness somebody else is talking about this. And I came across a video of his, and he was talking about it. And when I had done my research, it was talking about Saint Nick. Saint Nick, Old Nick, has long been recognized as a term for the devil, And it said that Santa was a fire god who came down the chimneys, and infants were burned and eaten in human sacrifice to him, you guys. And I never knew this. And then Then I finally came across Mark the Messenger's channel, and he was talking about some of these things. And I was like, there's another confirmation, Erica. And then, what else? Yeah, he has a lot on some of the pagan holidays, like on Valentine's Day, why you shouldn't celebrate it. And you can go to his channel and do some research on it. And then also always do your own research on stuff, you know. I had come across another influencer. What is his name? I think it's Falk 600 or Falk 6000. He was talking about the lazy Christian. Like, we can't be lazy and just go by everybody's word. Like, we have to do our own research, and we have to pray to God ourselves, and we have to read the Bible and do our own work. Of course, it's good to have confirmation from prophetic messengers and pastors and preachers and stuff, but sometimes you really have to seek it through God yourself, and also do your own research on things so that you can come to your own conclusion of things again. And let's see what else I had written here. Oh yeah, there was another verse that I wanted to talk to you about. I think it's in Revelation 2 verse 6 and 15. Revelation 2 verse 6 and 15, where it talks about the doctrine of Nicotolans. I don't know how to say that word the best, sorry. But then it talks about which Christ tells us twice in the church that he hates the followers of Nikos, which can translate to Nikos, which means conqueror, destroyer, Nimrod. So that's in Revelations 2 verses 6 and 15. It talks about it. And so that was another thing that kind of had me kind of confirm it, because Saint Nicholas, and it was saying that, like, a lot of people who, another thing when I researched it was like a lot of people who celebrate these holidays and think it's of God are being deceived. And when I started my walk, I didn't know about all these other gods. Like, I knew about God, I knew about Jesus Christ, I knew about prophets, the wise men, and I knew about the enemy, the devil. I did not know about Baal and the Jezebel, and I mean, there's all these different other, I call them deities, I call them demons. I don't consider them gods. I believe there's only one God. But there's all these other deities and demons that people follow. Excuse me again. And so a lot of us are honoring them, following them, and being deceived by them unknowingly. We just have no idea. Unknowingly we are. And it's something that I've had to come to terms with. And I know there's other people out there that have had to come to terms with this in their life. And so I just wanted to encourage those of you out there that may be still celebrating some of these pagan holidays to do your research on the pagan holidays. Read that verse for yourself, pray on it, maybe see what God tells you and how he directs you in your life and what to do when it comes to all these pagan holidays. I myself am not going to celebrate any of these pagan holidays that I know of anymore. I'm trying to learn more about what I can celebrate and what I can't. I know there's in the Bible where, you know, some religions don't even celebrate birthdays, but I read in the Bible where one of the kings or someone was celebrating a birthday, and I prayed on it, and I've celebrated birthdays, and God hasn't chastised me or reprimanded me on it. So far I'm assuming you can celebrate birthdays, and I'll keep celebrating them until he tells me otherwise. So at this time, like, I celebrate birthdays, I celebrate weddings, I celebrate anniversaries, I celebrate graduations. I know you can celebrate Passover, but I'm really careful. I'm sure there's other holidays that you can celebrate, but those ones I know that I can celebrate, and I'm not going to celebrate any others until I learn more about them and pray on it and know that it's okay for God for these holidays to be celebrated. And again, I'm not judging anyone who celebrates these holidays. I celebrated them for many decades unknowingly with my fans and family and friends. With my fans, I don't have fans. Sorry about that. With my family members and friends for many years, I celebrated them. And unknowingly, you know, just thinking I was doing the right thing. And I'm not saying those who celebrated weren't doing the right thing. I'm just saying it wasn't the right thing for me to be doing. And I'm not here to judge anyone. Once again, I just am here to guide and hope that you guys seek the knowledge and wisdom and start applying that wisdom in your life, and just seek from God. Please sit in his presence, pray, try to get silent so that you can hear him, because God's very quiet. He speaks very softly. But with me, when he told me about that, I could feel like he was not happy with it. I could feel that he was not happy with the fact that I had saw, and that was the only thing I could think of that I had done at the time. And then I kept like praying on it and asking him, like, please show me what you don't want me to do. Like, please show me what I did wrong so I don't do it again, because I can't fix it if I don't know what I've done. And then I kept coming across that verse, and I was like, okay, I sat outside and celebrated that holiday. And ever since I haven't celebrated these holidays, I haven't been chastised for it. So that was confirmation for me. And there's been many of the holidays that have passed since then, and I haven't celebrated them, and he hasn't chastised or reprimanded me for it. And let's see. Oh, and then I was like doing more research, and it was like Baal is the biblical king or father of Father's Day. And I didn't know anything about him at all. And I guess he's what I consider a deity or a demon that some people unknowingly and knowingly are worshiping and praising and following his will. And then for Mother's Day, they were saying there's a mother of goddess known as the Mother of Gods. And she has other names too. And I didn't know about that either. So I was just like, wow, like, we just unknowingly are following these holidays, and we don't even know like what they represent a lot of the time. I was just going with the flow. And so that's something that God's really been putting on my heart, to put a video out on this. And again, always do your research. Like I said, there was something I learned about being a lazy Christian. So I started to do my research and ask others, and look for videos, and Googled and did my research, and all this different stuff. And that's when I had come across to this is what he was talking about. And I just hope that you guys pray on this. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And again, like I said, I know there's a verse where it talks about, Jesus says, don't judge others for, their religious celebrations or the food they eat and stuff like that. And again, I'm not judging. I'm just telling what I was told not to do. And I'm sure this may be on other people's mind, or something that other people may be considering. And you always take it to God. I'm just here to guide, and I'm just a messenger. I'm just putting out the messenger, and I'm just trying to be obedient. And let's see, what else did I want to say? I know it's a very sensitive topic. So, you guys always make your own decisions in the end for your life. It's your life. All I can do is put it out there and encourage you guys to look into it, and maybe you'll be guided in the right direction that's right for you. You know what I mean? So I really want to thank you all for joining me. And I think there was another verse that I wanted to say, and it was something, it was like Matthew 5 verse 11, and it's in the King James Version again, and it's like, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. And I was like, I don't want to put this video out, because I was telling God, like, oh, people are gonna like not like what I have to say. And I've already like kind of commented and talked to other people about it in the past, and they like get really defensive about it. And I'm like, well, this is just something I learned. Doesn't mean like that you have to like take heed or do it or listen to it. I mean, God gave us all free will. And like, I keep saying I'm going to stop talking about the free will, because I think a lot of times free will leads us to like disobedience. I think a lot of times free will leads us to the pit, you guys. So, but we do have free will. And it's up to us what decisions we make and what we choose to do and follow in life, And so that hit home for me, because I was like, oh my goodness, God, I have to put this video out. Like, oh, this is a tough one, because when I have talked about it or commented on it, And in other ways and with other people and on their channels and stuff, like people have really came for me. They were like got very upset very quickly. So that's why I say it's a very sensitive topic for some. But again, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just putting out what I was told, and what was brought to my attention and what I was guided to do and not to do. So I just pray again that you guys do your research on it, and that you pray on it, and that God helps guide you in what He wants you to do when it comes to this matter. Thank you so much for joining me, Spiritual Seeker. You're so greatly appreciated. Hit them thumbs up if this did resonate with you at all. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's totally free for you guys and greatly appreciated by me. It helps get these messages out for others that may need guidance or that God's trying to reach. And again, you are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Prayers and blessings to all. Bye.